Have you ever seen an old photo of people like this and wondered whatever happened to them? Well, in this video, that's exactly what we're going to find out. I'm going to show you how I was able to find them and tell you how these children became orphans right after this picture was taken. There's a lot in this one, so stick around. My name is James, and I like to find old pictures and gravestones and see if I can find out who those people are so I can tell their story. And back by popular demand is my lovely wife, Alicia. So the last time you were in a video was because you offered to step up and read the script because I had lost my voice.
Yes. I'm going to try not to cry during this one.
But if you do,
no promises.
But if you do, it is completely understandable. Festus and Audrey Redmond. Their names together on the back are the perfect clue to finding these, what I assume to be siblings. Now, here's a fun fact about the back of this photo. In the early 1900s, it was popular to have your photo printed on a postcard stock. It made it a lot easier to send it to relatives without actually needing an envelope. Now, what's cool about this find is that you also found the same kids with a lady, and I figured that was her mom at first glance.
I first was drawn to the pictures of the two little kids because I have a soft spot in my heart for children, and I didn't notice the other picture at first, and then I glanced at it and saw that they were the same, and on the back it said Festus and Audrey Redmond with Mama, so we grabbed that one too.
And you spent how much on these pictures?
$8.
$4 a piece.
Yes. So when my sister came in town to visit, we decided that I was going to take her to an antique mall and see what we could find. And she was the one who came across these pictures first. And after taking a look at them and sending their names to James, we decided that this was a story that we needed to tell.
So using Ancestry, we go to advanced search and plug in what we know. Festus Redmond, born around 1910, and add a sibling, Audrey Redmond. I chose Festus because he has such a unique name that there won't be as many results when I type it in.
We couldn't leave Festus at the antique mall.
So 3 results pop up. Here's a World War II draft card for Festus Redmond and his relative listed as Miss Audrey Redmond. Draft cards always had a sort of witness to the draftee filling out the form. Typically, this was the next of kin or closest person to them. This says Festus lived in DeKalb County, Tennessee, and his sister is Audrey.
And we found these pictures in Murray County, Tennessee, which is only a couple of hours away.
So this is a great start. From here, I like to create a private family tree and start letting Ancestry do some of the work for me. We give it everything that we now know. It's not much work to find their parents from here, Arthur Redmond and Willie Johnson. And check out this user-uploaded family photo, which also happens to be labeled. I was already pretty sure we found the correct Audrey and Festus Redmond, but now I am positive. So on the left is Willie Johnson Redmond, according to the group family photo that I found on Ancestry. And on the right is the picture that Alicia and her sister found in the antique shop in Murray County.
Mama.
Now, I mean, in the past, in some of our other videos, of course, there's been some folks that disagree with our assessment of pictures being the same person or not. Mm-hmm. That's fine. I get that. But if you're looking at those two together and you want to tell me that that's not the same lady, we're going to have to agree to disagree. So we found the right Willie Johnson Redmond.
If you like this video so far and don't want to miss our next uploads, please give us a like and subscribe.
So here is the entire family in 1920 on the federal census for DeKalb County, Tennessee. Arthur, Willie, Festus, and Audrey. Okay, we found them. So now we can answer the question, what happened to the family in the vintage photo? In 1920, their father, Arthur Redmond, is a 27-year-old farmer. and their 26-year-old mother, Willie, does not have an occupation listed, which would most likely mean she was a homemaker while Arthur worked during the day. Festus' age is a scribble, and Audrey is actually listed as a boy. Yet another example of small inaccuracies you're going to inevitably find while doing family research. The imprecise nature of this work is a pretty big turnoff for a lot of people. But if the age of Audrey is to be believed, she is about 3 in 1920. I'd say this is probably within a year of our photos being taken. This particular section of the 1920 census was enumerated on January 28, 1920. And tragedy would strike the Redmond family less than 3 weeks later. On Valentine's Day, 1920, Willie and Arthur Redmond appear on the death certificate of male infant Redmond. Cause of death is stillborn. Arthur served as the informant for the record. This stone is pictured on FindAGrave.com and noted as possible location. Arthur and Willie went through the devastation of a stillborn on February 14th, 1920. And the very next day, Willie also passed away. Cause of death, influenza. Could this have contributed to losing her baby? Possibly.
And then you told me on the next day that Willie's sister Mary passed away. So on February 14th, 15th, and 16th, there were deaths in this family. I truly can't imagine what Arthur was going through. So it's even possible that this is the last photo taken of Willie Johnson Redmond. She was born in 1894 and died on February 15th, 1920. So what happened to their father that caused Audrey and Festus to become orphans?
On June 24th, 1922, at only 32 years old, Arthur Redmond died of an accidental gunshot wound. Now, when I first found this, my knee-jerk reaction was skepticism. He had been through a lot, and it was a real hard time back then, so I wasn't sure that I believed it was an accident. Arthur had been through a lot, so I thought maybe it was self-inflicted and was just reported as an accident.
Yeah.
But no, it really was an accident. And I'm going to show you how I found that in just a sec. What's interesting is that he died in Todd County, Kentucky, which is about 127 miles from where he lived in Smithville, Tennessee. And I know it's the correct Arthur because the rest of the death certificate points to his family that we can verify. And the informant is A.B. Paris. This is Appleton Basin Paris, Arthur's uncle who lived down the road from his house in Smithville in 1920. But wait, there is a second death certificate. This is pretty rare, so check this out. This one is file number 14402. The first one we found is 14414. The one we found first is the second one. So what's on this new one that was filled out first? First of all, we have a new detail about the accident. Gunshot wound inflicted by Frank Williams. So there we have it. It was not self-inflicted. The informant for this first death certificate was Jesse Williams. I did some quick research on Frank, and Jesse was his 18-year-old son in 1922.
So why are there 2 death certificates filled out for Arthur?
It seems that the first one was pretty incomplete. Frank may have been either in shock or brought in by police for questioning, while Jesse, his son, was left to tell the coroner what he knew about his father's friend, which wasn't very much. I imagine that the county wanted to wait until the next of kin arrived to help fill out more information about the deceased so that the death certificate would be more complete. So Appleton Basin Parish arrived to complete the paperwork. By the time A.B. Parish arrived, the ruling was accidental. So that word was used in the second death certificate. I really feel bad for Frank. I'm guessing it was a hunting or a cleaning accident, and he knew he left his friends' kids to be orphans.
Yeah.
I mean, that just had to be awful. And Unfortunately, that was not the last major tragedy for this family.
So where did that leave Audrey and Festus? Well, they moved in with their mother's parents, Henry and Sifrana, and grew up with them. In 1940, Audrey is working as a maid in Sparta, Tennessee, which is only about 20 miles away.
And Sparta just happens to be where this picture was taken. Audrey married Mr. Gilbert Nielsen on October 13th, 1942. They are living in Chicago in 1950 with their 5-year-old son, Ronald. But Audrey suddenly died less than a year later. I mainly use Ancestry.com for my research, but a lot of their records come from FamilySearch.org, which is a free genealogy site that has access to the insanely huge database that the Church of Latter-day Saints has accumulated. However, some records they obtained are under contract to only be obtained by visiting either a Family Search location or an affiliate library. And it just so happens that most older death certificates in Illinois are only able to be viewed in person at one of these sites. This includes Audrey's death certificate. Sometimes you gotta get out and do a little legwork. And honestly, I kind of enjoy going beyond my computer and looking for those harder to find records. There's a satisfaction to actually going somewhere and with the mission to find something.
And then actually finding it.
And you actually find it, yes. I had to make a quick stop to a nearby library that was an affiliate for the Family Search database on my way to work because I had to see for myself how Audrey died.
And you know, when somebody dies as young as Audrey did, it's usually something that not happens often.
Audrey was killed on March 11th, 1951. Cause of death, skull fracture and general injuries. She was struck by a train while passenger in an automobile. So the car she was riding in was hit by a train. She was killed along with whom I assume was the driver, and her name was Mary. The accident occurred on Tower Hill Road in, of all places, Gilbert's, Illinois. She was hit by a train in a small town with the same name as her husband. And according to police, the railroad crossing did not have warning signals and their view was blocked by a grain elevator. The train was moving 25 miles an hour and the car was dragged 150 feet. Little Ronald was only 6 years old, but he survived. Here is the crossing where the car was struck. The mill tower is gone, but there still aren't any crossing bars. This road is probably the exact same as it was back then.
It kind of makes you wonder if there were ever any other cars hit by trains.
You know, I thought about that. And I mean, I guess it's possible while that mill was still there, but without the mill there,
you can see a lot farther.
Yeah, it's pretty wide open. So maybe they haven't had any more tragedies like that.
Hopefully not.
I've known a few train drivers, and I'm sure there's some who are watching this video. I mean, it's not uncommon for train drivers to hit people and cars and, of course, animals, deer and stuff all the time while they're driving, and they've got all kinds of therapy in place for those guys. And, you know, that's the other thing. I mean, we haven't even talked about the guy who was driving the train when that happened.
Yeah.
That one incident.
It's just tragic all around for everyone involved.
It's awful.
Audrey was still a toddler when she lost her mother. She lost her grandmother, who ended up being her mother figure when she was 17, and then tragically passed away herself at 33, leaving her husband and her 6-year-old son behind.
I wish every picture we found had a happy ending, but at the same time, the whole point of this channel is keeping the stories going of people who might not have many or any people to still remember them.
When we find pictures at antique malls, those are the ones that really need their stories told to be remembered.
It definitely seems like a pattern. I would say most of the folks that we have found pictures of that we've been researching to get ready for more videos seem to, their line seems to stop, or at least only have like one child who may or may not have had grandkids, Festus remained a bit more elusive. I believe I found that he died in 1980 York, Michigan. I honestly couldn't find out how he died with the time that I had to look. So, if you're watching this and feel the desire to find out how he died, leave a comment with what you find. But if that's right, he did make it to 65, which was pretty good for his family, apparently. I'm going to attach the photos I found of Audrey and their mother, Willie, to their respective findagrave.com memorials. I'll add the links in the description as well.
Check out these other videos about old pictures we found and the stories of the people in them. This is something we are very passionate about and have dozens of more videos in the pipeline that are coming soon. We're happy you watched this one to the end and hope you want to see more.